Hey everyone, Daniel Ramsey here with MyOutDesk. I'm super excited. We got Johnny Moe, and if you don't know his story, I've got it written right here. Hall of Famer for Remax, the founder of More GCI, an evangelist at EXP, LCA. Let's see that shirt, buddy. That's right, lab coat agents. A big shout out to Tristan and everybody in that space. And then here I am from MyOutDesk, and we're here today. We were just chatting about my water bottle, right? So what were we saying about this? Honor the struggle.
Honor the struggle, for sure. Most people are attracted to complacency because it's easy, right? Yeah. And the struggle is so hard.
Yeah. Oh, and you said most people are happy with their split level houses. And
oh yeah, they're happy with their split level houses and their flat screen TVs and having their beers on the weekend and their 30 pack, and that Monday comes rolling around again. They don't want to put themselves out there because it's too painful, it's too hard, it's too scary.
Yeah, good. So today we're gonna hopefully scare the audience. Let's talk about that. Couple of housekeeping things. You can see my daughters like to draw. More GCI, we're giving away an agent success kit, which I'm really excited about. There's a ton of value in this thing. I personally like the planner. The planner is badass. Yeah. Today, if you're listening and you want to know what you're going to get, this is the heart and the meat and the potatoes. We're going over the lead generation quadrant. Johnny Moe's, specific to his group, his coaching, what he does to help agents grow. And so I'm excited to share that with you guys. And I'm really excited to have you here today. And so we're going to go through that, and welcome, Johnny. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm just fortunate to wake up and my feet hit this ground, and anything that I can do to improve the earth before I leave, man, I'm all about it.
That's right. We're going to give love. And the reason we're going to give love and the reason we have Johnny on here today is because spring is coming. And it's kind of like, the show winter is coming, but spring is coming. And spring and summer represents 70% of all GCI, to quote More GCI, right? All of the work that you're doing right now is to prepare for all of the revenue you're going to generate over the next 4, 5, 6 months. And so we're going to dive deep into how to generate leads, how to convert those leads, Johnny's methodology around that. And yeah, that's what today's about. We've got the 4 quadrants. You were telling me that they're shifted into 2 different sections. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. So we have let me just share my screen so everybody can see this real quick, if you're all right with that.
Yeah, let's do it, man. We got to get it up there.
Can you see that okay?
Let's see. Yeah, we got it, man. We got it.
All right. So on the left-hand side of the quadrant, we have calls and network, right? Networking. On the right-hand side, we have online and marketing. The left-hand side, I like to call our action tasks. And on the right-hand side are our passive tasks. So I like to equate it to hunters and trappers. You need to set a trap on the right-hand side, and then you let your trap just do its thing, right? You're not going to sit there and watch it. You're not going to place a Facebook ad and sit there and watch it, right? You're going to set the Facebook ad, and then when the trigger goes off, when the trap goes off, something will happen. Now, that allows you to go out and set up your action tasks, your hunter tasks, and you go out there and hunt. You're making phone calls, you're networking, you're connecting with people, nurturing relationships. And what you're doing is you're waiting for that trap to go off. Because if we just set the trap and don't do any actionable tasks, we're cheating ourselves. And if we just go out there and do actionable tasks, we're missing out on all the trapped business that we can get. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And if you're listening, a really important part, you can interact. We have some moderators on this. So if you have specific questions that you want to ask Johnny, or if you want to interject with something, a comment or a question, we love feedback. We like to make these things interactive. So, and we're going to dive deep. Let's talk just about the calls. Let's talk about, what in your opinion needs to happen in that space on the call side. And let's go through your process and help people in your way.
Sure. So what I teach agents in my training programs is you need to create your strategy. Then your strategy needs to be broken down to a policies and procedures manual, because the ultimate idea here is that we're business owners and we're growing a business. And when we build a business, you want to be able to take a policies and procedures manual and say, this is how we do business, right? It explains what we're going to do on each lead type, how we're going to lead generate, when we're going to lead generate, those types of things. So first thing you need to do is create your strategy. In the call section, you have different types of calls. You have your expired calls, you have your FSBO calls, you have your circle dial, you have your farm, and you have your past clients, right? So you need to have a strategy for each one of those. Now, each one is uniquely different, where like expireds, you're going to have to be more reactionary and say, okay, I'm going to log in every morning at 8:30, and I'm going to get my expired list and call them for an hour, even the new ones and the old ones, right?
Right.
Circle dialing, the 10-10-20 rule, that is a real thing. And what the 10-10-20 rule, for those that might not know what that is, when a home is listed or sold, 10 in either direction on the same side of the street or 20 on the opposite side of the street also will sell statistically within a year. So by reaching out to those people, you're starting to build up a nurtured database. And if you don't believe me, just go to the big Z, type in a city or an address, and you can zoom in and zoom in. You can see 4 or 5 in a neighborhood, no matter where you go across the country. That's the 10-10-20 rule. So you should carve out an hour or so per day, or that might be like a B activity. You say, these are my A activities for lead generation. Circle dialing is my B activity. And how you get the neighborhoods and how I train agents how to have increases in their production is if your average sale price is $220 on this side of the bridge, but it could be $280 on the other side of the bridge, you just change your focus over to the $280 side of the bridge. And when you get $280 listings, you get $280 buyers. And you just had yourself a 20% increase in business by doing nothing more, just changing focus. So you got to create a strategy for that circle dialing. You get your farm if you're doing anything, and we'll be able to probably jump into why this is important. But if you're doing any kind of social marketing and you're farming, you're going to have a geographical ad going on in that area, and now you're going to back that up with phone calls. It's a double whammy. So when are you going to call your farm? You're going to call them once per quarter. You're going to call them once, per year. Put in a schedule. And then when it comes up, you do it. And then your past clients. You're calling your past clients once per quarter. You're calling them, 3 times per year. What are you doing? So now all of a sudden you can take that and put it into a time block schedule or recurring schedule to say, when you come in on Monday, here's my activities I need to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
But Johnny Mo, I hate making calls. What am I going to do?
Listen, I hate working out, right? But if I want to lose 20 pounds, I got to go to Orange Theory and work my ass off. So what are you going to do? Discipline. And that's the key. Our tagline, accountability plus discipline equals success. So if you don't want to make the phone calls need to be made. You can either outsource the phone calls, right? Or make the phone calls yourself. But the phone calls need to be made.
Yeah, you have to do them. Like no other way.
No other way.
Why do people not choose to do that? And I know spring is coming, and we're in that space where people are like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to get business? But why do people not? What stops them? What do you think?
Themselves. And within that is a lot of different things, like call reluctance. It's a real thing. They have a fear. They have, they don't have the proper scripting. They don't have the confidence. They don't know what to say. But all that stuff goes away. Screw up 10 times, and then all of a sudden the 11th time magic happens, right?
Right.
The people, this is what I tell my agents, the people on the other line don't know you, so who cares, right? If you screw up, who cares? They don't know you. You're not going to be walking through the supermarket and somebody's like, hey, you're the idiot that called me and didn't know what to say and stumbled over yourself, right? It's not going to happen. So get comfortable being uncomfortable and make that, even just 1 hour a day, Daniel, 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, that's 5 hours of phone calls can do wonders in a person's business.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the bare minimum. Like that's where you tell somebody to start. But if you're talking to like somebody who wants to double their business or really grow, what do you tell them is like the normal amount of time they should be prospecting or in that call quadrant that you have?
In the call quadrant, I would say if you're doing it yourself, 2 to 3 hours, and then you're working on nurturing relationships for another hour or two per day, right? Because that's our job. That's our goal, is to do those high efficiency activities and focus only on high yield activities, high efficiency activities. We were talking about that a little bit before. And that is our job, is to do those high end activities and then farm everything out. That is a low yield activity, right? And I like to break it out like this is, what's your hourly rate? Everybody should figure that out. And what I say is you take what your GCI goal is, divide it by the amount of hours you want to work. How do you get to the amount of hours you want to work? Well, I want to take a month off. So now I'm down to 48 weeks in a year. I want to work 40 hours in a week because they say that's normal. So I just I times those two, I come up with a number and I divide that by my GCI goal. And I come up with $250 per hour, right? So if there's a task that I can have somebody do that's less than $250 an hour, I have them do it, right? So if that means I'm having my bookkeeper, this is the first one I always use. It was my very first leveraged hire, and it has changed my life. So I have a bookkeeper. She charges me $25 an hour. She does 6 hours per month. So that's $150 an hour. But you know what happens? Once a month, I have a profit and loss. Everything's categorized. In taxes, I just hand the yearly profit and loss off to my accountant, and he can do his thing. So I took all that stuff that I sucked at because I'm not really good. I'm good with, making money and spending money, but retaining money really isn't my strong point. So now I have that in place and they handle it. And everything is just streamlined now. Right. And better. It's a lot better than the way that it was. And what it did was allowed me probably 12 hours of free time of me trying to figure things out and trying to figure QuickBooks out and everything else like that, which now I can utilize those 12 hours at $250 an hour activities.
Right. Okay, good. Well, Luke was asking, is this a discussion about leveraging and growing your business with virtual assistants? Luke, I am the guy for that, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But right now we're talking with Johnny Moe, and Johnny's got this lead generation quadrant. And what we're doing right now is really discussing the highest and best use of an owner's time frame. Like, what should you be doing as the owner of a business, regardless of the industry? I think we're in the real estate space right now, but regardless of the industry, like, generating revenue is the number one thing you can do. Now, I mean, FSBO's expired, circle dialing, farm dialing. These are all things that we have virtual assistants that can actually do for you. So a lot of large teams and a lot of brokerages, they'll get a listing, they'll use, something like Listings to Leads to do all the digital marketing, and then they'll hire us to do all of the calls because we can just load up thousands of numbers into a dialer and just knock out those calls. But it really depends on where you are, right? I mean, if you're a newer agent, then it's got to be you. If you're building a team, then, you have some options. So that's what we're talking about. Thanks for your question, Luke. And guys, bring them up.
No, and I just want to jump in on that. So what we're doing is setting up the virtual assistant need, right? So exactly, just to parlay on what you're saying, there comes a point where you're doing this. It's your time, you're doing time, and then all of a sudden your time is maxed out. And you tip it, and that's where you hand it off to the VA and the VA. But you have to, before you can't just hire somebody because that's hiring by abdication to say, here, you do this. You have to say, here, this is how I do it. And this is how I want it done.
Right.
That's delegation. There's a big difference. Michael Gerber talks about that, the difference between abdication. You got to know how your business runs before you have somebody else run it for you.
Okay, we got another question. Joey, what if you hate or have the mindset that you hate to make calls? Johnny, you knocked that one out.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff we hate to do, but it's accountability plus discipline equals success. If your success blueprint says that you need to make 25 warm contacts or 100 cold contacts per this week, how are you going to do it? If you want to make $250,000 a year and it says you need to make 100 cold or 25 warm contacts, how are you going to do it? That's my question to your question. What else are you going to put in place? It's not a matter of what you like to do, what you don't like to do. It's a matter of doing what you have to do, right?
Well, and I just want to add, one time this gal broke down in tears, like right in front of me, because she heard this message like a million times. And she's like, look, I'm never going to be a prospector. I don't like it. I hate it. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm probably a little bit softer than John on this one, but I do believe that you have to, have 3 to 5 business generation lead pillars, right? 3 to 5 things that you do on a consistent basis that generates the revenue so that you hit your goal, and if calls aren't going to be it, that's fine. You can hire somebody to do that. You can hire, my father-in-law calls him a junior woodchuck. You can hire a junior woodchuck. You could hire us to do those calls, but there needs to be a strategy, because nothing in business replaces the belly to belly phone call. Like, we've done everything from emails to text messages to Facebook messaging to webinars to, in person, like how to buy your first home, how to sell your home for the most money kind of seminars. We've done all of that, and nothing ever compares to picking up the phone and just calling somebody. Yep. To create rapport and relationships.
Yep. Joey followed that up, and so I guess I need to find other ways to lead generate. Yes and no. Sure, yes, because you need 3 to 5, different things like you had mentioned, but no, that's where you can leverage somebody to do it.
Yeah, and if you're new, that's probably not a great idea. Like Johnny was saying, you got to hand off a metrics of success. That's that's more GCI is all about, is this metric of success. Like, how many calls do I have to make in order to get a listing appointment? How many listing appointments do I have to get in order to get a closing? And what's that closing worth to my business, right? So, you've got to have a metrics in place for your local market, for your value proposition. But yeah, Joey, if you want, here's the beauty. If you want, text MOD VP to 555-888. And here's what's great. John has agreed to do some consultations. We can do a consultation. You're going to get his quadrant. You're also going to be entered into a thing to get his success kit, which I think is brilliant. And we'll talk with you, because it sounds like you might need some help with the strategy stuff. And that's what Johnny Mo does. So yep. That would be that for sure. Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's go to the networking, because when you mentioned this to me, I really appreciated your perspective, because it's a rare one to talk about networking events and charities and contribution. I'm a big contribution guy. We've actually just started a 503c. We're getting in that space where we're making big impact in the world because of what we do already. And so I got excited, to be honest. I got excited. So help us and help the audience understand how you use networking to drive, commission. Sure.
So couple different things. I could talk for a month on this. It's how I built my business, because when I was building my business, there was no Facebook, there was no Zillow, right? I started in 2002. Zillow came out in 2006. Facebook was somewhere around there too. I don't exactly know when. So networking was key for me, right? And I created this thing called the Power Circle. Gary Keller calls it his Allied Forces. Brian Buffini calls it his Inner Circle, right? Everybody calls it something different. I call it my Power Circle. And that was people that had the same type of client that I was seeking: mortgage person, financial advisor, insurance person, attorneys, right? And we would work a room together at a chamber event or a Rotary event or whatnot. And I always knew a couple people, they knew a couple people, so we would cross-introduce each other. I would collect their cards, and I'd follow up with a handwritten note the next day and to say, how can I, pleasure meeting you last night. Would love to grab a cup of coffee, see how we can help each other's business. Real simple, right? I did that with the Rotary, my individual self by donating time and volunteering time at the Rotary, different charitable events. I sponsored many different events. But what happens is there's a lot of you collecting all these cards and everything else like that. And I think the choke point for many agents is data and staying organized, right? The collective central point of data. And that was a choke point for me. But at the same time, So if I had a virtual assistant back then, I could just say, here's all the stuff I collected, put it where it needs to go, and I'm off to luncheon, right? And that should be my job. Off to a luncheon, off to, I listened to a speaker, I don't remember who it was at a recent thing. He said, I told my wife for the next 3 or 6 months, I'm going to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner out of the house. Don't expect me home. And the dude's selling like 250 houses because he's with the people, networking, talking. I ate lunch at the same 3 or 4 restaurants. I ate dinner at the same 3 or 4 restaurants because I got to know the people.
Yeah.
And when we start to look at our business as a business to business versus a business to consumer business, things change because those businesses know more people.
Yeah.
And networking, I think, is becoming a lost art because everybody wants to, use the easy stuff like the Facebook leads and the big Z's or the RDCs and things like that, which are all valid. Don't get me wrong, they're all valid. But a networking component into your business is huge.
Yeah, I love it. In fact, I've got some value to add there. What I enjoy is I try to go after like insurance brokers are great because number one, they're salespeople. They typically have a lot of insurance brokers have a huge amount of homes that they insure and families. So I think those are great. CPAs are great because they typically serve a large amount of families, and CPAs have intel. Like they know when somebody's thinking about moving, or they know the income levels, right?
Yeah.
And so divorce attorneys, I mean, we did this, we did this thing, the 9 Ds, right? So death, divorce, destruction, you lose your job. So, I mean, what do we call that? Disability. Like we had this list and I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but we created like 9 and then said, who are the businesses that serve those life events? Like babies is a big one. You have a kid and all of a sudden your house is too small. If you've ever had kids, you know what that's like. My house is way too small. Weddings, wedding planners. So the point is, and I love what you're doing, is going after other business owners who are salespeople that you can offer value to, that you can be part of their, you called it power circle. You can be part of their power circle. And I think that's a brilliant thing. We're helping a client right now in California who did 90 transactions, almost $600,000 in GCI, and he has 0 CRM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, no CRM, no accountability on leads, no, you can't assign a lead to an agent. You've got to manually call him and tell him. I'm like, what? And he's got a team and he's got an admin and he's got and so it's always surprising to me. And I think the networking thing, it's really important to have a great CRM and then work that CRM and get those referrals in there.
Sure. And it comes down to this too, is data. Data is so important in everything. And when people are creating apps, I mean, I have an app, right? When people are creating apps, they always ask, what are you doing with the data? Right? Because they don't care about the app. They'll give you the app for free. They want the data. And so the same thing with us, and it comes down to, you mentioned CRM and you mentioned, people like, well, how do I leverage a virtual assistant? Because you have to, and I talk about it in the success kits, create a tagging schema for your CRM, right? Mm-hmm. Where did this person come from? Even on Facebook, you need to segment your friends lists and everything else like that. But to create a good tagging schema, so as you're handing this raw information off to a VA, or if you're going to do it yourself, they can put it into the system based upon the tagging schema that you set forth. Right. You don't want to let them create the tagging schema. You want you to create the tagging schema. And now all of a sudden you can put in there Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, network and partner, Power Circle. So you can pull these lists from your CRM at any given point.
Right. And then send particular messages to that list. Like, you go to a Rotary and you see them, you can pull everybody in Rotary and just say, hey, great seeing you, insert, person in the CRM's name. If you ever know anybody who's thinking of buying and selling, by the way, here's my free guide to, I mean, there's lots of opportunity.
And all that's happening as you head into lunch.
Well, if you have a virtual professional, that is true. Okay. So, talk to me about sphere of influence and clients. Cause I'm ashamed to say this, but it's, you learn I sold somebody's house. They bought a new house. Then they got a job transfer. And they're like, Daniel, we didn't think you'd be a listing agent as well as a buyer's agent. Like, and this happened back in like 2004 or 5 or something like that, you know? And I learned a lesson because I didn't stay in touch with them. Like, it'd been 2 years since I sold them their house. I sold their house and helped them buy one. And here's another sale and buy transaction because they're just moving across town. And, you know, I lost $15,000. I vowed right then and there to start making calls. So I don't know if this will help Joey, but I mean, that happened to me. I lost $15,000 in commission because of that, you know, not staying in touch. So what's your perspective? What's your perspective about sphere of influence and past clients?
Okay, so past clients and sphere of influence, I mean, they all should be, I got to rephrase how I'm going to say it. You should all be sending something out to them at least monthly, right? Mm-hmm. You know, they talk about, you know, 32 touches throughout the year or whatever like that. But this is a real choke point for agents because they close the transaction out, they turn it in, but they got 6 others they got to go to do and this and that. Next thing you know, you forgot to put them in the follow-up system. You forgot to put them in the newsletter system. You forgot to send them out a send-out card or whatever you're doing, whatever your system is, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to sit down and do that. But I got to make phone. What happened over, you know, we become dogs with squirrels and you forget to do it. And the next thing you know, it snowballs and all of a sudden you're like, oh, screw it. Right. So with your past clients and your sphere of influence, consistency is important with that they're getting added to the newsletter, that the newsletter is going out, right? On the 1st, not one on the 1st and one on the 15th because you screwed up the month before, right? You want to make sure that there's consistency to whatever you're doing. And you know, if you're not going to have that consistency, you got to leverage that consistency. You need to be calling those people, right, and following up with those people. And when are you going to do that? So once you have your schedule done, you got to then extract that information. So to have somebody to be able to segment that, I think is huge, or tell you here's your list for the day or whatever the situation may be. But staying in touch with those people, because it's like this. Everybody knows 50 people, right? 50 people know 50 people. Next thing you know, you're second, third level down. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, right? So you can stay in touch with those people because there's an infinite amount of business done correctly with those people. Brian Buffini built a whole company around the concept, right? $100 million company around that concept because it's a real concept. So what are you doing to stay in touch with those people effectively, efficiently, and consistently?
Right. Well, and I would just add that, you know, referrals on average are 70% of the real estate business. Everybody knows somebody when they're thinking about selling a house. If they don't, they ask their trusted friends, and their trusted friends are your opportunity to sit at the table. So real important that I like what you said. My favorite thing is to be, and I'm going to steal from Debbie DeGrotes. Yesterday we had a webinar with her. She said the wise advisor. I like trusted advisor or the industry expert, you know, so I'm always sending out like, you know, what's going on in our local market, what's going on with interest rates, you know, what's the future looking like, you know, anything that's affects the community is good. And then once a month, I'm selling hard about my services, why you should sell your house with me, how I'll net you more money, how I'll do it fast, how I've got a concierge service, how we're a team and not just a single agent. Or if you're a single agent, how we're a single agent, I'll focus on you, like whatever the message is, right? So those are my favorite things. And then calls once a quarter. That was my world. Calls once a quarter?
Yeah, once a quarter, yeah. I always have my A list and B list.
Sure. And so how did you treat your A list different than your B list? Like what was the protocol?
A list had referred me something. B was likely to refer me. I've worked with them and they're likely to refer me something, but A's referred me something.
So you're in contact with those guys a lot, right?
A lot more. They're the first ones to go fishing with me, on the boat.
You're taking them fishing. Okay, so those are your hunters, and now let's talk about your trappers, because I think what you're doing is this is fun and it's good. So online, give us your mind share around what should be happening online in the background as a trapper.
So on a trapper, I mean, consistency and content are the two C words, right? Yep. You need to have constant, consistent, Constant, consistent content. Yeah, say that one. I should just say consistent content, but you need to have engaging content too.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I learned this past week from a pretty awesome person was it's not just about Facebook ads, right? And most people are doing them wrong. Yeah, you're getting some leads, but you're doing it wrong. Where on your personal page, you need to have some engaging kind of posts, right? Where people are engaging and then you can enter into those conversations. So that's like setting a trap. You know, what year did you buy your first home? Which celebrity rehabber do you like better? Those types of things. All go on your business page. Giveaways and stuff like that on your business page or your community page. A lot of agents I talk to, they have one page. You can have 10, 20, right? All depends on what we're marketers now. We're not just a realtor, we're marketers. So do I create a Bedford community page? Do I create a New Hampshire community page? Do I create a New Hampshire homes for sale page? Do I Johnny Mo's Remat or EXP page, right? Which page do I create? Do I create a page just for this exclusive town right up the road and do just giveaways in there and try to get the higher end clients in there, right? So those are the traps, and everything I just talked about right there, that hasn't cost a penny yet, right? It's just consistent content. But then you have your Facebook ads, and that's why with the new algorithm change, you need to get that engagement, right? Because with if they're not engaging with the business page and stuff like that, that's why you need to share the business page. Those are kind of the traps to get the people to engage, and when they engage, that's when things happen. The more people you talk to, the more engagement you have, the more sales you're going to get. It opens up the opportunity to have the pop the question to start the conversation, right?
What's the pop the question? That's interesting. I mean, I'm imagining Johnny Moe down on one knee and saying, "Will you list with me?"
It depends on the price of the house.
That's good.
But pop the question. So if you ran some sort of engagement type thing, which celebrity rehabber is your favorite? Oh yeah, we like him too. Would you like a list of fixer-uppers in the area?
Sure.
Right. Oh, which house do you like better? This glamour one, this one with the pool, this, that. Oh, you like the one with the pool? Me too. I really love that pool. Would you like a list of homes that have pools in the area? Right. So it's just opening that. And what you're looking for is that one person to say yes. You dump them into whatever IDX or CRM type system that you're using. I use Conversion. So I'd add them to Conversion, pools, so on and so forth, put them on the little drip and start
boom.
Yeah.
And boom. We did a webinar with Kevin Markarian. He's in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I like that guy. He's a good dude. And one of his things, if you have listings, he runs a contest on Facebook. Guess the price of this home and you get a free iPod or a free, whatever. And I think that's a good engagement thing. I hate it when I see agents on their personal page listing homes. Like, this is not, I don't believe that that's a place for a home listing. All right. But, like pools, I like that. I like, hey, guess the house price of this home, or, some engaging posts. So that's good.
Even worse, Daniel, is when they post the big Z link.
Oh, yeah.
Because you just gave away control. Right?
Yeah.
You gave away control. And the whole purpose of having listings is to have control, not be at the mercy of.
That's right. Well, and talking about listings, I mean, we're on the online social media. If I have a listing, what do you do on the social space with listings?
Man, there's a lot of things that you can do, right? So what I do and what I coach my people to do for free is to make sure you belong to all the community pages in the area. You're going to go in there, create a quick little ad. Right. And this is how I like to do it. Put 2 or 3 pictures. That's it. Right. Let them think. Go in there, put a little description and stuff like that. Hit save and then comment with the link. Right. I don't want to put the link in the original post. I put the link. If you want more information on the property, here's the link with all the pictures.
Yeah. See below. Yep.
Yep. And then, I mean, that's a big one right there. I do like to share. I don't share much to the personal page. Sometimes I'll share something from the business page and say, listed another one, right? Or something else like that. Or who do you know that wants to live in Londonderry? Because things around here pop in a day or two. So it's like going to go quick, right?
Yeah.
But that's about what I do for my online strategy for free, besides, running an ad or whatnot.
Yeah, cool. And I think there's a lot of opportunity around, when you have a listing right now, have the agent or have your broker or the association get the paperwork to sign to spend 2 weeks pre-marketing a listing, because with how fast things are going nowadays, I mean, you can generate not only a lot of buyers, but other sellers from just pre-marketing a house. And one of my favorite people, Howard Renton, I actually never met him, but I watched a lot and listened to tapes, back in the day. Listings have babies, and on average, every listing does 2.4 other transactions.
Yep, they should.
Yep. And so real important that you're keeping up with the average number of transactions when you have one listing. So that's good. Let's talk about marketing. And really this is like offline marketing. And before we jump into that, I just want to make sure everybody knows, like, if any of this is like, I don't understand, or how would I do this? Or I need to set up one more pillar and I like the idea there. Again, I'm doing it, man. Text this. We're giving away a lot of good stuff. You're going to get Johnny Mo's quadrants, plus the opportunity to speak with him and MyOutDesk, talking about leverage and growing your business. So that's good. What old school marketing do you suggest for your clients? Like taking a listing, getting more listings. What do you do?
Sure. I mean, just postcards are kind of cool, right? Kind of old school too, and kind of slow, right? Yeah. Where I can do an ad right now and it's starting to hit people right now. I can make phone calls right now. Postcards are going to take a week to get there, right?
Right.
10 days maybe. And they're going to be mixed in with all the other postcards. But to do them, if you're going to do them, don't be cheap and do real nice big ones, right? And make them stand out. But there's two things I want to say. If you're going to do just listed, just sold postcards, then also call that area. Right? Call the area you're sending. Now you hit them twice, right?
Yep.
And then the other thing to do is if you have a farm, because some people still have a farm. I learned this from my year one in business in 2002 from an agent that was like number one in our office. And I mean, she was selling 60 homes a year, which in our area, selling 60 homes a year is doing darn good, right?
Right.
She had the same two farms, and every time she sold anything anywhere, she sent to that farm. Kathy just listed another one. Kathy just sold another one, right? So that farm was seeing her 4, 5, 6, 7 times a month, And so when it came time to list, obviously, man, this lady's killing it. We want this lady, right? And then she would call and door knock too. Joey, I don't know how to say that. Joii asked, yes, I'm with EXP. No, I don't door knock. I know some people that do door knock and do well with it, but I don't. That's kind of dumped into that quadrant too. But if you're going to do any kind of old school stuff, that just listed, just sold stuff does work. Don't be cheap on it, but don't just send them expecting anything else. Send it. Hey, maybe you do something different than everybody else. I always think being different is good. Maybe you make a trifold brochure that's going to go out, right?
Yeah.
This just listed. Are you ready? To kind of things like that, and talk a little bit about your marketing services in there too. Because a postcard, you don't get much space. It's kind of like, hey, I just sold this. Cool, right? Yeah. Where, hey, I just sold this, and this is my marketing strategy. You interested in selling? And then something, some sort of landing page. Go to .com to learn more.
Gotcha. Okay, and you've got billboards in there. Talk to me about that. Like, what has to happen to land your face on a billboard in your market?
Yeah, you got to sell a lot of homes because these things are $500, $600, $700 a month. So it's more branding, right? More branding. And, if you're going to do a billboard, one thing that drives me crazy was when I see somebody get your New Hampshire home value at this company's website.com. You're not going to remember that as you're driving down the road. But if you have something like, something creative, it doesn't have to even remotely relate to your business, because with redirects and everything else like that, you make all sorts of crazy stuff happen. You could have a text to call, right? And have like a call action or something, or text to call, and then it sends out the link for the home valuation or something else like that. Get your home value, get your home value, text 444, whatever, to whatever the number is.
Yeah, you're saying do something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
text mod VP or text home to 555-888.
And everybody, you know, it's illegal, but everybody always has their phone in their hand when they're driving. So it's real easy for them to do that or take a quick picture. It's a lot easier than this long, crazy, convoluted website because nobody's going to remember. Or if you do a website, do NH999 or something, right? Something that is like really NH999. What does that even mean, right? Something like that. But when you're doing the billboard, you literally you think about it. You're driving down the road, you see a billboard. Now, billboards work. I'll tell you, I was driving through Georgia last week, and I had like another 8 hours or 4 hours until I got to Atlanta, and I was hungry, and by the time I got to Atlanta, it would be 9. So I said, you know, I'm going to stop now and get something to eat. Sonny's Barbecue, exit 156 or whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to Sonny's Barbecue, right? Same pit, you know, same pit master since 1956. Damn, sounds good to me. You know?
So funny.
Yeah. So
and I thought you were going to talk because you know, one of the number one agents in the world basically is a client is in Georgia, and his billboard's all over the place. So I was just in Georgia a couple months ago. I'm driving. I'm like, oh, hey, there's our client. You know, it was like, wow, that guy's huge.
It's a level of name recognition. It's a level of, stepping up, right? So all of a sudden you get out from here and then all of a sudden you're everywhere. And that's the goal, is you want people to be able to see you everywhere. So you can do it online, you can do it on billboards or whatever it is, but be seen.
Yeah. And I'm really excited about this. I mean, the world is that everything that you're talking about in your lead generation quadrant, the 4 areas, right? You don't have to do them all. You just have to pick the ones that you're comfortable with and do. But all of them have back-end help around that needs to happen. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can that's the thing, right? Time is our most valuable asset. We can't create it, so we have to leverage, right? Somebody's got to do the work. Somebody's got to pull the lists for the calls. Somebody's got to make the calls. Somebody's got to do the ads. Somebody's got to look at the ads and say, hey, we only have a relevant score of 3. Let's can this ad and move on to the next, right? We need somebody to be able to make sure that the data flow is working. If you're getting portal leads or any kind of online leads, that they're working through the system. Somebody's got to follow up with all that data that you're getting from networking events and making sure that your marketing materials are going out in a timely manner, based upon triggers or times or benchmarks. So somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it. You, the individual agent, can do it, and most individual agents do it, and that's where burnout comes from, or inconsistency comes from. And if you really want to level up, I was mentored by one of the sharks, Kevin Harrington, and what he told me was, years ago, I used to have like 200 employees. I got rid of it. I got like 12 employees now. I leverage other companies to do what I need to do because there's no liability on my part of hiring these people or having them as employees. They do it better than we did because they specialize in that, and I can let them go at any time. Right? So by having that human leverage, that it allows you to do what you do best, and what you do best as an agent is to nurture and build relationships into business.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Kevin Harrington from a shark from TV said to call MyOutDesk if you need some leverage.
Yes. Exactly.
You know what? We've got a question. So I'm a Sacramento, California guy. One of my neighbors is a commercial real estate agent, and what I love is he's making a transition to really running a team and building a team. He was always a part of a team in the commercial real estate world, but he is moving to, like, he got a CRM for the first time, like his own. He's building his own website. He's starting to run ads, and he's starting to, he's always been a prospector, but he's starting to leverage out his systems. And what he didn't know is that we actually do that work. And I started coaching him around, things like all of his contacts were in his phone. How do you get them out? Well, there's a system to get them out, right? And there's a process. How do I get all my Facebook friends into different categories? Well, guess what? There's a software for that. So we started coaching him into building this, leverage into his world. We have the #1 commercial real estate company in the world as a client. We've got the #1 KW commercial client, our commercial broker as a client. We've got a boat broker. We've got a technology company. We've got an insurance company. Like the other day, we were adding a coaching company and a marketing company. Like the reality is we're agnostic to who we're helping grow, but what we do is we provide leverage. And our 3 areas are sales, marketing, and operations. So we will help you build this system that you need to build in order to grow. That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm. And keep it organized, because that is, I think, what agents struggle a lot with is the organization.
Well, because it doesn't, here's what happens is you guys don't feel revenue from it. Like we're revenue, like I'm a deal guy. I like closing the deal, but I don't like doing the paperwork. I don't like entering them into the system. I don't even like cashing the checks, to be honest. I just like getting them, you know? And so, you know, for me, I knew that if I did everything, I'd hate my job. So we leveraged and we hired, and that is, in the history of growing my real estate team, that's the thing that differentiated us in terms of business. And I was able to close hundreds of transactions every year, having virtual assistants and having physical assistants, and doing what we call is a blended model. So, what we're doing is you're texting this. I think it's time. We're at the end of it. We're going to wrap up. But if you text this, you're going to get Johnny Mo's quadrant. We're also giving away an online, what we call repurposing system. So we didn't talk too much about it, but it's a cool process where you take a lot of content and put it out everywhere in the universe. We're also going to raffle off one of these. What do you charge for these guys, Johnny?
Normally the $99.
Yeah. Okay. So we're giving away one free. And if anybody wants to spend some time with Johnny talking about your business, we're going to facilitate that for you too when you text this. You can also go to our landing page. It's in the comments, MyOutDesk.com, more GCI. That's Johnny's technology company where he helps people basically hold themselves accountable and set goals and crush the real estate game. Johnny, what would you leave everybody in closing?
Man, I'm going to say this. This stuff's going to get done. If you're not going to do it, who's going to do it? You need to pick up the phone. The fortune's in the follow-up. The money's in the follow-up, right? If you're not following up with these leads that are coming in or going out there to get them, who is? And that's what I say often. Who's making your phone calls? Who's helping you coordinate these lists? Who's following up? Who's putting them in a place that they are followed up to one central point, because they're coming in from all these different places. You want to get them to one central point, right? And that's where agents, myself, I'm guilty of it. I'm horrible with organization. I mean, I have to write stuff on my board just so I remember to feed the cat. So who's doing the work? Who's providing consistency? And that's where leverage is such an important thing. And the only way that you can create more time, because you can't create time, I can't create time, Christopher Columbus couldn't create time, right? You have to manipulate time. And the only way to manipulate time is through leverage.
Right. You've got to write. That's an interesting, I've never heard it said like that, manipulate time. Well, it is the only asset you can't buy. It's not tradable. It's finite. It will run out. I love it. Okay, man. Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of Johnny Mo, how do they do that? Like, if anybody likes what you've been talking about, wants to get in a coaching situation with you, wants more value from you, or help maybe even with the 4 quadrants, right? Let's go over these in my business and see where I am. How would they do that?
They can go to moregci.com, and down at the bottom, there's a little contact us. All those messages come through me first. Okay,
perfect. Johnny Mo, thank you so much for your time. You're a badass. We love you. This has been a lot of fun. And guys, don't forget to text us. Again, I keep pulling this out there because we want to add value to your business. My name is Daniel Ramsey. The company is MyOutDesk, and thank you so much for your time today.
You got it. Thank you all.